Hey gang, we're approaching an area where we're going to now learn about fonts and type. A lot of times people confuse those two, fonts and type. What are they? What do they mean? Fonts is one character that you've designed or has already been designed. Type is a string of those characters that have similar design qualities. So a font is an alphabet versus type face, which is a string of those alphabets that have similar designs. Now, when somebody says typography, it means the art of creating a design using fonts that translate into typeface when you use a bunch of them. So here's the thing. Today we're going to learn how to create a guideline to help us make and design our own creative fonts. Okay. Therefore, we need to be using rulers, and we have a pencil. You're going to have an eraser. You're going to have some tracing paper, and you're going to need some tape. You might need a brush to keep the scraps off your sheet. Okay? Let's go ahead and start off with this grid or this graph or guideline to help us keep things straight. So I like to start at the bottom of my page. Okay? I'm going to put the ruler at 0 at the bottom of my page. See how it's right there at the edge? I'm going to come up here to the 9, just an arbitrary number on two edges or two sides of my sheet, so that these two dashes will help me create a straight line all the way across. All right? Then I'm going to now, since I know that my grid or my guideline has to be 3 inches wide, all I have to do is just take my ruler, put it at the line, and make a mark at 3. And then make another mark at 3 for my 3-inch space, and use those 2 marks to create a straight line. The rulers make it so much nicer, but you need to know the anatomy of the ruler and how to use that. I do have a tutorial on the anatomy of the ruler, so you might want to look at that so that you can understand what these increments are on the ruler. So now I have my 3-inch space. Now I want my X height space right here in the middle. I'm going to drop my X height down a little bit. So I don't want it centered right in the middle. I'm going to have it down just a little bit. So from the top of my cap line, I'll move my ruler down to 1. I'll move a dash down to 1 inch. And I'll do the same thing on both sides. So always have 2 dashes. It makes your life much easier to make straight lines that are parallel to each other. Very important. Okay. So now I need the bottom of my X height. This is the top of my X height right here. Now I need the bottom of my X height. And that is going to be 1 inch and 1/4 right here. 2/8 is right here. This makes 1/4 right about there. Okay. 1 inch and 1/4. Move it over and do another dash at 1 inch and 1/4. Those 2 dashes will help you make a straight line. Now, in the center of the X height area, we need to divide that in half. So since we know that this is 1.5 inches wide, what is half of 1.5 inches? 50% of 1.5 inches is 5/8 inch. So you want to get in your ruler and look at these little blocks, these smaller blocks. So here's a clear one for you to see these blocks. Well, this one on the end is also the same thing. It's just divided a little bit more. So you count over 5/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this will be the halfway point between 1.5 inches. So 5/8. So move this over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you make a mark right there. That'll be your 2 marks to divide that X height in half. So now you want to make that line dashed. You can use colors if you like, to make each of your sets of lines a little bit different, or you can just change the style of line that you draw. Okay. So let's go ahead and identify. I'm going to put some number markings on here so that we can all see. 3 inches goes from top to bottom, right? 3/4 inch goes from bottom of X height, which is the main core of your fonts in this area, like the zeros and the humps and all that stuff. That goes in here. And then up here at the top, you're going to have 1 inch. And then right here, your X height is actually 1.25 inches. 1 1/4. And then half of your X height, the top and bottom of your X height, is actually 5/8 inch. So it's the same up here too. 5/8 here, 5/8 there. So now you have all of your measurements so that you guys can repeat this process on your own paper. Next thing you want to do is grab some tracing paper. At least grab 2 sheets. You might need 2. I'm going to take 2 sheets of tracing paper out of my book. And one of them is going to be where I start. By the way, here's one guideline for you right here to do your practicing on. You could also make one down here so you can have 2 guidelines to be working with while you're practicing designing your letters. There's one other region I forgot on this guideline, and let me go ahead and throw that in right now. So at the top of the cap line, where the ascenders go to the cap line, well, the top of capital letters go to the cap line, we have to have an ascender line which is right above it. Ascender line. Okay, and it's about 1/4 inch away from the cap line. And I'm going to go ahead and put in 2 dashes here and then make my line go all the way across like that. Okay, so that is my ascender line right here. This is a cap line. I'm going to write small. This is the X height. I'm going to call this X height in here. X height. This is the baseline right here. And there you go. So now, let's go ahead and put on one of these. Again, you can make another guideline down here just so you can have more practice areas. You don't have to just do one on this sheet. You can do more than one. I'm going to go ahead and tape it down so that it doesn't move while I'm trying to design. And let's go ahead and start off with maybe an A. And if I don't want I don't want it to be a circle, you can make an oval. You go to the top of your X line guide and the bottom of your X line guide. All right, and then you're gonna kind of be designing when you start with the basic shapes. And these are the basic formations for what I'm going to do with my letters, my fonts. And this is the bar on the side. So I have a basic A. Kind of boring, right? We're going to fix that up. It's going to be looking cute in a few seconds. So let's go ahead with a capital A. I'm going to go to the cap line. And do I want a pointed or a square top? I think I'll go with a square top. And then I'm going to come down. And the widths of these things, sometimes that matters, that you want to kind of repeat the widths so that they have unity and they look like they belong together. So I'm going to go to the bottom, the mid portion of my X height, and then half of that. So you're going to be using a lot of, so this straight line should go all the way up, and this straight line should go all the way up as well. So you're going to be using all these fractions in this grid, in this guideline. Now I have a capital A and a lowercase a. I want to do something creative with it, but let me go ahead and make two more alphabets. Let's go with a T. And a T has an ascender. The lowercase letters usually go all the way up to the ascender line. And that's just the basic idea. So when you start to merge them and make them look more creative, you're probably going to be up there in the ascender line area, but you're probably going to have some design to it. So this is a lowercase t. And again, I think I want my widths to kind of all be uniform. So this width is about 1.5 inches. This one is about 1.5 inches. So I feel like that needs to be about 1.5 inches as well. And then my crossbar is going to come down halfway in the top half of the X height. And then what about my T? Here's my T, 1.5 inches across. And this crossbar needs to be the same width as this one. It's up higher, but it needs to be the same thickness. This is just a framework. This is just a framework. These things can change when you start designing those alphabets to look differently. But even when you are creating the design, things have to be similar. Things have to be unified. Okay, I'm just going to make a J because I don't have one. That is a descender. So I'm going to do, this is the main body of my alphabets in the X height area. And you come down and you just sketch. Again, 1.5 inches wide should be key with these. Like that. And then the dot is about 1/4 inch from the top of it. So now I have a few letters I can work with. I'm going to put another piece of tracing paper on top because I want to practice design on this piece of tracing paper. I have my basic block letters here, and you can do tons of basic block letters and then put a piece of tracing paper on top. And that's where you have your playground. That's where you get to play around with all of the styles that you can do, any and all styles that you can do. So now, my A, I'm going to start off with maybe doing something with the ascender bar. I want a serif. I think I'm going to be creative and do something like this. That's different. Here is, you can move the inner oval, and there's definitions for all of these anatomy parts of the alphabet. So now let's work with this capital A. And I like the fact that I'm gonna make all of my serifs. These are creative serifs that I'm doing here. Go in one direction. And then I'm gonna take this up probably part way to my ascender. I'm just being creative, just messing around, trying to find my way. And trying to find what could be a nice look. And here, this T, I like this part. And then I'm going to go the opposite direction. Uh-oh, my tape came up. I'm going to go the opposite direction just to have some fun with it. Actually, this one is a little bit too long. You definitely want to keep within certain measurement guidelines so that your letters are uniform. They're not, somebody's too big or somebody's too small. So keep taking measurements. So if this is 1.5 inches down here, let's see what it is now. Yeah, it's about still a little, yeah, about an inch and a half. About an inch and a half. And so this thing right here, that monster, it is an inch and 3/4, which makes it a little bit too big. So what I'm going to do is take out, oh my gosh, my eraser is ruining my work. I'm going to take this out because I think it's too big. Okay. So now I'm going to go back in here and just shave off the original shape that I see through the tracing paper so that I can keep this area at 1.5 inch. Bam. There you go. Now down here, I can go this way and create that serif at the bottom. So I think I can repeat the whole idea with the top of the T over here. Go down this way, oops, this way. And you can be really, you can be a little bit more creative with the capital letters because they usually tend to be bigger anyway. Which means that this capital letter A might need to extend out a little bit more if I do that to the capital over here. Point is, you want to keep things as uniform as possible, keeping the design kind of fluid. And then I'm going to go with this like that, and over here like that. And then I got my... So you see the idea? That's what you can do with a few sheets of tracing paper over your guidelines. So just have fun with it. Find continuity, find unity in the variety of letters that you're going to have in your grids. You do upper and lowercase. If you have a design that requires that's all cap, there's other things that you can probably do, like this one, for instance. I can use this. I can do maybe some chunky block letters. I had a student do this and it was like really cool. He just took a block like this. And you can make this grid on tracing paper or you can put it on your actual guidelines. But he created some kind of really fun alphabet that looked like, let's see, I'm trying to remember what he did. It was so interesting. I can't even remember. So let's go with maybe he had a J. It was a J. I can't remember what it was doing. But he used a block. He used a block to create these really cool letters. And they were going to be all uppercase alphabets. So you can work your magic with that kind of thing as well. Start off with the basics, though. Start off with the basics before you start entering into those real abstract forms in typography. Study other typography that you've seen online. Look at typography charts. Start with some of those kinds of designs and merge it. Merge it into a whole new creative design idea of your own. I don't want you to like copy somebody's and that'll be it. Just do your own. Whatever design you pick, you could always change a little something about it to make it be more original. So I hope that helps, and we'll see you at the next tutorial.